Ever since I was a kid, I had a whimsical attitude about life. When I was 19, I had about $1,000 to my name, and a friend of mine asked me to go to the Coachella Music Festival with her and some other friends. Without really knowing what it was, I quit my job, packed my bags, got into the van, and drove from Calgary to Palm Springs, entirely unprepared and having no idea what I was doing. That trip ended up being the inspiration and catalyst to an 11-year music career in a touring band. Today at 39, I have morning routines, a small business, an investment portfolio which I really only use for boring activities. I go to the same gym, I pretty much eat the same food every day, and unless I'm invited, I don't really leave my house. While I consider some of these to be healthy habits, I've come to notice something. Just because I have routine, I get more done and I'm considered healthier by some standards, by others I actually consider myself to be less healthy. For example, I often work until burnout, and as a hobby, I bed rot and doom scroll. I rarely call my friends, so unless they ask me to hang out, I don't really make the effort. So I decided that something needed to change. I needed to change. I needed to shake life up a bit and do something that I never thought was possible. I got trained to be a laughter yoga instructor. Would it work? Would it make me feel more whimsical? Would doing something I'm not entirely confident at make me any happier? I'm going to cover what laughter yoga is, why it's important to step out of your comfort zone, why we might avoid risk, and how vulnerability can change your perspective. I'm Jeff, former peer support worker and trainer, and if you're new here, I make videos on mental wellness and life experiences. Thank you for watching. Let's get into it. Laughter yoga, or Hasya yoga, is a therapeutic practice that combines stimulated laughter exercise with deep yogic breathing. It's been known to reduce stress, improve mood, and even boost immune function. Developed in 1995 by Dr. Madan Kataria, it uses group-based, playful, and childlike exercises to turn forced laughter into genuine laughter, fostering physical, mental, and social health. And to my surprise, there is no downward facing dog. And how I found out about laughter yoga was through a friend of mine, Laura Passan. She is and has been a laughter yoga instructor trainer for almost 2 decades now. You can check out an interview podcast that I did with Laura, and I'll leave the link in the description below. And the training that I took was a weekend long, or it was 2 8-hour days. And at the end, you got a certificate and you became a laughter yoga instructor. And I mean, how easy is that? I've had work meetings that felt longer than that. Showing up like a good little student, yoga mat under my arm, notebook in hand, I walked into a room full of strangers, and as the class started, I could immediately feel the bliss and acceptance. Just kidding, I was unbelievably terrified. You see, after some light intros and a brief orientation, the first activity we did was we all stood up, went around the room, making eye contact, shaking each other's hands, and laughing. The terror that I felt just doing this one little activity, manufacturing laughter, something I don't even do when things are funny, it was immense. But it did teach me my first lesson. In 1908, Yerkes-Dodson law originated the concept of the comfort zone, which found that moderate stress improves performance, whereas little to no stress ends up hindering it. Basically what it's saying, when things are too easy or too difficult, you don't really grow. So if there's too little stress, you end up going into coasting mode and nothing really challenges you. And when there's too much stress, you can burn out, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, or any other kind of all. Now, I just want to point out that you don't have to step outside of your comfort zone, and it's not always a negative thing to be in a comfort zone. It's not necessarily the only way to grow, and for some people, they may have never had a comfort zone. So just know that there are certain benefits to being in a comfort zone and certain benefits to stepping outside of your comfort zone. Just know that for this video, I'm describing my experience only. And in my personal experience in getting trained in laughter yoga, I was leaping out of my comfort zone. And when I was doing this, I was faced with a ton of fear and a lot of embarrassment. But why? I used to pour my heart out into pop songs, and then I used to perform them live. One time, I performed a halftime show at a football game in front of 20,000 people. I wasn't nervous, scared, or fearful at all. But when I had to look someone in the eye in a small, isolated room and manufacture laughter, it felt like my skin was crawling. I couldn't stop thinking about what my friends would say if they saw me doing this, or what the other people in the room thought of a 39-year-old man playing games on a Saturday. And the part that I thought was really strange was that I had just spent 5 years practicing peer support, training people in peer support, where I would be in rooms talking about my own personal struggles with my own mental health, and somehow this activity of looking someone in the eye and shaking their hand and manufacturing laughter, it was way more awkward. And as I reflected on this, I ended up starting to learn a bit about myself. See, I had hit a level of vulnerability that I had never really experienced before. And as I mentioned, I was in a band and I was the lead singer front person. So the whole perception of my aura was cool. This level of vulnerability, it ended up changing that perspective. I was no longer trying to be cool. I was trying to relax, try to have fun, try to explore and experience something that I had never really done before. And that in turn was expanding my comfort zone because my ego and the outlook on who I was, it was being challenged. It was sort of chipping away at this piece of me that I had cultivated to protect myself, which leads me into the next thing that I learned. See, I act cool as a defense, whereas if I'm perceived as being cool, then I feel like I don't have to share the parts of me that suck. And if you don't see the parts of me that suck, then you're gonna think that I'm awesome. And my ego is gonna believe that there is nothing to change about me. There is no pain or no struggle that I have to go through, thus keeping me in the comfort zone. And there's a word for that. It's called masking. Masking is a cognitive and behavioral coping mechanism where individuals, particularly those with neurodivergence like autism and ADHD or mental health conditions, they consciously or unconsciously surpass their natural personality traits, their emotions or behaviors, to try to fit into social norms and avoid judgment to feel safe. Basically, stepping out of your comfort zone feels unsafe. That's the whole point of the comfort zone. And essentially, to grow, you metaphorically have to unmask. And while I would love to give advice or tips or tricks on how exactly to do that, it's not as easy as it sounds, because when you unmask, you're taking a level of risk, and everybody is individual, so therefore their level of risk, dependent on where they're at, is completely different and unique to themselves. For me, taking the risk to look uncool feels massive. But if I were to ask someone out on a date as a 39-year-old single person, the risk is very mild. And I think this comes from something that I talk a lot about in other videos, where in order to get good at something, you have to be bad at it first. I'm really bad at being vulnerable, so I don't do it. And because I don't do it, I continually get worse. Whereas when I step out and I become vulnerable, it gets a little bit easier. Therefore, it's more comfortable for me to step out and be more vulnerable. Therefore, I do it more. And you can see how the cycle repeats itself. The more I do it, the easier it becomes, the more I do it. And as time goes on, maybe I'll learn more tools and ways that I can share to step out of your comfort zone or face fear or handle risk tolerance. But for now, just know that this is something that virtually everybody on Earth deals with. And dependent on where you are on your wellness journey, this can look really small to some people and really large to others. But if you are going through something like this, just know that you're not alone. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about through my experience of getting trained in laughter yoga. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think I'd teach a laughter yoga class, and I have no real desire to join one again. But I also have no desire to totally close the door and say never to laughter yoga. In fact, I feel as though I would never say never to anything. And this is a massive perception change for me. I mentioned earlier, I've been setting routine and practices that I consider to be good habits in my life for a while now. And honestly, it took me a while to get good at that. But in doing so, it also hindered that other part of me, the part that desires exploration. And I'm not the type of person who isn't going to be one or the other. I love routine until I get bored. Then I love excitement until I get overwhelmed. And then I need routine again. And how and when I do this is going to be up to where and at what level my comfort zone is in the moment. And that's not really something in the past that I would honor, and those aren't really feelings that I would really recognize. And so it begs the question, did getting trained in laughter yoga make me happier? Did it make me more whimsical? And I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. But what I do know is I can see times where I need to buckle down and times when I need to unbuckle. I can look at risk and ask myself, is this right for me? And if yes, that's awesome. And if no, why? And if I want to take that risk, am I ready to take that leap? And if I'm not ready to take that leap, how can I prepare? The experience also taught me that no matter how bad or serious things can be perceived, they can also be perceived as something to laugh at. And it's not because it's unserious or a means of denial, and it's not like you're trying to mock the situation, but because ultimately my perception is just that. It's my perception. I get to choose how I see the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in exploring laughter yoga for yourself, I'll leave some links in the description below. And if you like this video, you're probably going to like at least one of the 2 videos that you see popped up on your screen right now. Give it a click. I'll see you over there. I'm Jeff Turner, and remember to take care of yourself however that looks to you.